Imagine for a second that you are planning a bank robbery.
Okay, I'm with you.
So you've spent weeks studying the blueprints. You've managed to bypass the silent alarms. You've cracked the combination to the main vault. And you are standing there right in the center of it with stacks of cash in your hands.
The classic Hollywood heist setup.
Exactly. But instead of shoving the money into a duffel bag and running for the exit, you pick up the phone on the wall. You call the bank manager. You tell them exactly how you got in, step by step. And instead of calling the police,
They write you a check.
they write you a check. Legally.
It really sounds like a heist fantasy, or I mean, maybe a dream you'd have after watching too many spy movies, but this is the absolute reality of the bug bounty economy today.
It is wild to think about. And today, we are doing a deep dive into exactly how that economy works right now.
Yeah.
It is February 2026, and this industry has completely evolved. It's gone from a few hobbyists poking around websites in their basements into this massive, structured global marketplace.
Precisely. It's no longer just about hacking in that, 1990 sense with the hoodies and the green text dropping down a black screen. It's about asset protection. It's risk management. And for the hunters themselves, it's a legitimate high-paying career path. The gig economy has basically come to cybersecurity.
To help us navigate this world, we've pulled together a stack of really fascinating sources for this deep dive. We have a fresh market report from February 2026 by CloudSeek, and that ranks the top platforms and breaks down where the actual money is.
Right.
We also have a technical masterclass known as the Bug Hunters methodology, which is essentially the Bible for how to actually find these flaws. And finally, we have a practical guide from a repository called Bug Bounty Templates on how to write the report so you actually get paid.
And I have to say that last one is crucial. You can find the biggest hole in the system, the kind that makes international news headlines. But if you can't explain it properly to the security team, you might get $0.
Absolutely zero. So our mission today is to take you from just wondering what is this to understanding the specific tools, the platforms, and the mindset you need to hunt bugs in 2026.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this. First off, the marketplace itself. Where are people actually hunting? Because looking at the CloudSec report, it really seems like the days of just hacking a standard website are over.
Oh, totally over. It's a much broader landscape now. The ecosystem has split into different, let's call them flavors, depending on your skill level and what you actually want to target. It's not just websites anymore. We're talking Web3, managed penetration tests, and highly specific privacy-focused programs.
Yeah, the CloudSeek report really highlights how specialized these platforms have become. Let's talk about the big players they listed. Sitting at number one, the best overall, is HackerOne. Why are they still the king of the hill in 2026?
HackerOne is essentially the giant of the industry. The report highlights its massive scale. I mean, it has the largest community globally. But crucially for a hunter, the report points out they have SLA-backed triage.
SLA-backed triage. Let's pause there for a second. Translate that for us, because that sounds like heavy corporate speak.
It is corporate speak, but it really matters to the people doing the work. SLA stands for Service Level Agreement. It's a contract. One of the biggest frustrations for a hacker is submitting a bug and then just waiting 3 months to hear back.
You're just sitting in limbo.
Exactly. You don't know if they're fixing it, ignoring it, or if you're ever getting paid. HackerOne provides a guarantee on how fast they respond. If you want stability and enterprise clients like big corporate targets, Starbucks, GM, or huge tech firms, this is the place to be.
Okay, so HackerOne is the reliable giant. But the report also lists Bugcrowd as the diverse option. How does that differ?
Bugcrowd is often seen as a really great middle ground. It offers a mix of public programs, which anyone can just sign up and join, and private programs. It's very good for beginners moving into the intermediate stage who want a lot of variety. They handle the triage well, and the competition can be slightly less intense than on those massive public HackerOne programs.
Speaking of beginners, I feel like jumping straight into HackerOne is like trying to play in the NBA on your first day of basketball practice.
That is a very fair comparison.
Right. So the report mentions Integrity as the beginner-friendly option.
Yes, Integrity has really carved out a niche, particularly over in Europe. The source notes they have excellent triage and a really smooth onboarding experience. If you're new, you don't want to be thrown into the deep end against the top pros immediately.
Makes sense.
Integrity's focus is on clear scoping, telling you exactly what you can and cannot hack, and they align heavily with European regulations, which makes it a much safer learning ground.
And then there are the high rollers. I saw this in the notes and my jaw literally dropped. Immunifying. The report says payouts here are extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking 6 or 7 figures for a single bug.
We are. I've seen payouts hitting the multi-million-dollar mark for a single critical bug. But you have to understand, this is a totally different beast. This is the Web3 specialist platform.
Why is the money so much better there? Is it just because crypto is flashy and has venture capital to burn?
No, it's about the actual nature of the risk. In traditional web hacking, what we call Web 2, if you
Yeah.
find a bug, maybe you leak some user emails or deface a homepage, it's bad, obviously. There's reputational damage, maybe a regulatory fine, but it's often recoverable.
Right.
But in Web 3 and DeFi decentralized finance, a bug in a smart contract can literally drain the entire bank vault instantly.
Because the code is the money.
Exactly. The code is the money. And because it's on the blockchain, once it's gone, it's gone. It's totally irreversible. So the bounty is huge because the risk is total, immediate financial collapse. Immunify focuses on smart contracts and blockchain logic.
So a huge barrier to entry.
Massive. You need to understand Solidity, which is a specific programming language for smart contracts, and you need to grasp complex on-chain logic. But the rewards reflect that existential risk.
Okay, so we have the giant, the diverse middle ground, the friendly European, and the high roller. But there were two more that caught my eye. First, Synac. It's described as a vetted club.
Scenic is interesting because it's entirely private. You can't just sign up today and start hacking. You have to be invited and vetted, almost like getting a security clearance.
Wow.
Yeah, but once you're in, the competition is way lower and the payouts are higher. It's less of a free-for-all and more of a structured elite team. It feels more like a standard job than a gig economy thing.
And what about Yes We Hack?
Yes We Hack is the privacy-first choice. They are very strong in the EU and regulated industries. If a company is paranoid about data residency and strict compliance, they go to Yes We Hack.
So choosing a platform isn't just about picking a cool logo. It's about your skill level and what kind of cash you're chasing. But tell me this, why do these platforms even exist? Why don't I just email the company directly and say, hey, I hacked your server?
That is a very dangerous game. If you do that, you are technically committing a crime in many jurisdictions. The platform provides what we call safe harbor.
Safe harbor. That sounds very legal.
It is purely legal. It's a framework that basically says, if you play by these specific rules, we promise we will not sue you or have you arrested.
That's a nice promise.
It's essential. Without the platform or a published policy, you are just a criminal who broke into a server. With the platform, you are a security researcher. It essentially turns a potential felony into a P-check.
That is a critical distinction for anyone listening.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've picked our platform. We're legally safe. Now, how do we actually find a bug? I'm looking at the notes from the Bug Hunters methodology, and it talks heavily about a shift in mindset. It warns against just smashing windows to see what breaks.
Right. The source uses a really great analogy here. The iceberg. When most people look at a website, they see the tip of the iceberg above the water. The search bar, the login page, the nice graphics, the contact form.
The stuff my browser shows me,
Yeah.
the user interface.
Exactly. But the methodology source argues that the bugs and the real money are in the 90% that is underwater. The API calls, the back-end integrations, the multiple user permission levels, the core logic. The shift in mindset has to be from, I want to break this thing, to, how does this thing actually work?
So you're not just attacking blindly. You're studying the blueprints first.
Yeah.
You're trying to understand the architect's original intent.
That is the best way to put it. And that process starts with reconnaissance and tech profiling. Before you send a single attack payload, you need to know exactly what the site is built with. Is it PHP? Is it React? Is it running on an Nginx server?
And the source mentions specific tools for this, Wappleizer and WetRuns.
Yeah, these are just simple browser extensions. You install them, visit the target site, and they instantly tell you the tech stack. It might say, oh, this is running an outdated version of jQuery.
Which is a huge clue.
Huge. It tells you exactly where to look for known vulnerabilities. It saves you from, say, throwing a Java exploit at a Python server and wasting your time.
And once you know the tech, the expert in the source material suggests asking the big questions. The list includes things like, how does the app pass data? Has there been past security research? And does it have multi-tenancy?
That multi-tenancy one is huge in modern SaaS applications right now.
Break that down for us. Multi-tenancy is when one application serves lots of different companies, right? Like Slack or Salesforce.
Correct. Imagine a hotel where every single room is a different company. The bug hunter asks, can I, standing in room A, hear what is happening in room B? Or even worse, can I just walk through the wall into room B?
And if the answer is yes,
If the answer is yes, that is a massive payday. We call that ID or insecure direct object reference. It's where you just change a number in web address, the URL, and suddenly you're looking at someone else's private invoice.
wow. The methodology also breaks the app down into layers. It talks about open ports, web hosting, frameworks. But it specifically says most success comes from two specific layers, custom code and integrations. Why those two?
Well, because the frameworks, things like Django or Ruby on Rails, are usually very secure out of the box. They have huge teams at Google or Meta fixing them constantly. If you try to hack the core framework, you are fighting hundreds of top-tier security engineers.
But custom code,
Custom code was written by a regular developer at the specific company you're targeting.
possibly late on a Friday,
Exactly.
possibly after too much coffee, while rushing to meet a marketing deadline.
Yes, that is exactly where the human error lives. And integrations are very similar. When a web app talks to PayPal or Google Maps or Twilio, that handshake is often where security drops the ball. Keys get left exposed or permissions are set too loosely.
So you're saying don't try to hack the massive steel bank vault door, check the side window the contractor installed yesterday.
Precisely. That is where the cracks always are.
Now let's talk about the toolbox. We
Yeah.
have the mindset, but what are we actually carrying in our digital utility belt? There is a tool mentioned in the stack called Nuclei. Apparently, it's actually a bit controversial.
It is very controversial. Nuclei is a powerful automated scanner. It uses thousands of templates to scan for known vulnerabilities. You point it at a target, and it just fires off checks for everything from exposed admin panels to specific CVEs.
And CVEs being common vulnerabilities and exposures, basically a global registry of known bad bugs.
Right, so it sounds like a magic wand, right? You run it, it finds bugs, you profit. But the source includes a direct quote from a well-known researcher named Corbin Leo, who calls using Nuclei on a main target a competitive disadvantage.
A disadvantage. That feels really counterintuitive. If the tool finds bugs, why is using it bad?
Because literally everyone else has it. Think about it. If you are targeting Google or Tesla, 5,000 other hackers have already run Nuclei on that exact same URL before you even woke up this morning. The low-hanging fruit is completely gone. You are wasting your network bandwidth finding absolutely nothing, while the smarter hunters are looking deeper.
So when is a tool like Nuclei actually useful?
On fresh targets. If a company suddenly spins up a brand new server, or you find an obscure subdomain that nobody else has noticed yet, Nuclei is a gold mine. It cleans up the easy stuff instantly. But for the hard, established targets, automation just isn't enough. You have to be faster or smarter than the scanner.
Right, and speaking of scanners, there was another one mentioned for finding outdated JavaScript libraries called Retire.js.
Yeah, Retire.js is great for that specific task, just quietly running in the background and flagging old, vulnerable code. But again, it's just one small piece of the puzzle.
Because you really have to dig deeper. The source talks a lot about content discovery strategies that go way beyond just guessing URLs.
This is honestly my favorite part of the stack. It's about being a digital archaeologist. There's a tool called Waymore.
Waymore. I love that name. What does it actually do?
It scrapes the Wayback Machine, Alien Vault, and other internet archives. It looks for links that existed maybe 5 years ago but are now dead, or, well, supposed to be dead.
Ghost links.
Exactly. Sometimes those dead links still point to active endpoints on the backend server that the developers simply forgot to turn off. It's like an unlocked back door covered in vines. A developer might delete the shiny button on the homepage, but leave the actual processing code running on the server.
And Waymore finds that hidden code.
It brings it right to the surface.
That is incredibly creepy, but brilliant. And what about mobile apps? The source mentions a tool called APCleaks.
This is a classic lateral move in bug hunting. A lot of companies have a main website and a mobile app. The mobile app very often uses a totally different API, different instructions than the website. APCleaks pulls the API endpoints directly out of the Android app binary.
Wait, so you're hacking the website by looking at the code for the phone app?
Everything is connected on the back end. You might find a whole set of administrative commands hidden in the mobile code that aren't visible anywhere on the desktop site. Developers sometimes assume, oh, nobody can see this URL because it's compiled inside the app on their phone.
But tools like APCleaks decompile it in seconds.
Exactly. It completely breaks that assumption.
The notes also mention something called CWL, and it creates what they call contextual word lists. Why do we need that?
Well, standard hackers use massive generic lists of passwords or directories, things like admin123 or password. But CWL actually crawls the specific target website and builds a custom list of words that actually appear on that site.
So if I'm hacking a banking site, it generates a list with words like invest, deposit, transaction.
Exactly. Because developers are human. They often use words related to their daily business for hidden folders or internal passwords. If the bank has a new product called FastCash, there's probably a hidden developer folder called /FastCashAdmin.
And a generic list won't have that specific product name.
Right. But CWL, well, it makes your guessing game much, much smarter.
Okay, here's the strategy that really stood out to me from the methodology, the demo trick. This felt like the absolute most mission impossible move in the whole stack.
Ah, yes. The demo trick. This is for when you are dealing with commercial off-the-shelf software, or COTSS. Let's say you are testing a paid software platform that your target company is using. You can't see the code because it's locked behind a massive enterprise paywall.
So you're basically flying blind. You're just poking at the front login screen.
Unless you sign up for a free demo of that software yourself, or, as the source cleverly suggests, you search for a version of it that was accidentally leaked by a developer on Docker Hub.
Wait, so you literally download the enterprise software to your own computer?
Exactly. You install it locally on your machine. Now you can see every file, every folder, every hidden URL path. You can read the raw source code. You are basically mapping out the entire building from the safety of your own laptop.
That is wild.
Then you take that map and go back to the real target. You know exactly where the vulnerable admin page is because you just saw it in your local demo files.
That feels like cheating. But it's totally fair play. It's what the industry calls white box testing, right?
Yeah. It is. You are turning the lights on. Instead of guessing where the door is in the dark, you have the actual floor plan. It is incredibly effective because you find complex logic flaws that no automated scanner could ever possibly find.
Okay, so we've used our map. We've found a ghost link using way more. We found a big one, let's say. SQL injection.
A classic. That allows you to read or manipulate the entire database.
So now comes the moment of truth, getting paid. But the source material, the bug bounty templates repository, says this is where people mess up the most.
It is the most heartbreaking part of the whole job.
Yeah.
You can find a critical vulnerability, but if your report is a mess, the triage team might just reject it. Or worse, mark it as informative and pay you $0.
The source mentions using standardized markdown templates, specifically calling out formats like blank.md for complex issues versus short.md for quick, simple findings. Why does the formatting matter so much?
Think about the person reading it. Imagine you are on the security team at a big company. You get 50 reports a day. 45 of them are absolute junk. If your report is just a vague email saying, "I hacked you, give me money," they will ignore it. They simply don't have time to decipher a riddle.
They probably just think it's spam or a scam.
Exactly. The Bug Bounty Templates Guide heavily emphasizes structure. You need an evidence checklist.
What exactly needs to be on that checklist to guarantee a payout?
Screenshots, first of all. Annotated and making sure no personal data is visible. Then, full HTTP request and response pairs, you need to show the actual raw data traffic so their engineers can replicate it perfectly. And most importantly, impact demonstration.
Show, don't just tell.
Right. Don't just say, "I found XSS," which is cross-site scripting. That's just naming the bug. That means nothing. You need to say, "I used this XSS to steal the administrator's session cookie and gain full control of the primary account."
That sounds a lot scarier. It tells the business exactly why they should care.
And that fear, or rather that business risk, translates directly to severity scores. The source talks about CVSS 3.1, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. It's the universal standard used to rate bugs.
And this is what determines the actual paycheck size.
It does. It's basically a math equation. A critical bug scores between a 9.0 and a 10.0. That's things like remote code execution or RCE and SQL injection. Immediate widespread impact. That's the absolute jackpot.
Just so we're clear, RCE is basically, I can run whatever program I want on your computer.
Exactly. It's having the keys to the kingdom. If you find RCE on a major platform, you're looking at a very, very nice payday.
And on the low end of the CVSS scale.
Low or info. These are things like self-XSS, where you can only hack your own account, or maybe missing security headers. These are very often worth $0 because they don't actually put the business at real risk. The platform will just say, "Thanks for the info, but we accept the risk."
The guide also lists common mistakes hunters make in their reports. One of them is begging.
Yes. Writing, Please, I need a bounty to buy a laptop. It's unprofessional and it just annoys the triage team. The report needs to be entirely clinical. Facts, evidence, impact. Let the severity score dictate the price. If you wrote a good report, the CVSS score will speak for itself.
And another huge mistake listed is reporting theoretical attacks.
Right, saying this might be vulnerable to this attack. No, you have to actually prove it. If you can't pop the shell or extract the data safely to prove it works, it's just a theory. You don't get paid for theories, you get paid for a proof of concept.
Makes them see it. So, to recap our journey today, we chose a platform like HackerOne or Immunify, depending on our risk appetite and skill. We profiled the tech stack with Wapalizer. We used tools like Nuclei or Waymore to find the entry point. And finally, we wrote a killer report using a markdown template to ensure we get paid based on the CVSS 3.1 score.
That is the complete life cycle. It's a very structured process, not magic.
It really is a profession now.
Yeah.
It's definitely not just kids in hoodies in a dark room anymore.
It is a massive industry. And connecting this back to the bigger picture for you listening, the landscape in 2026 is getting much harder. The sources all mention that the easy wins are gone. Security defenses are heavily automated now too. WAFs, web application firewalls, are getting smarter every day.
So the robots are basically fighting the robots.
In a way, yes. Which actually means the human element, the creative chaining of small, seemingly harmless flaws, is more valuable than ever. You can't just run a scanner and get rich anymore. You have to understand the deep business logic, those invisible layers we talked about. The scanner can find an open door, sure, but it can't understand that the password reset logic is fundamentally flawed. Only a human can see that context.
That is a fascinating thought to leave on. Defenses are getting smarter, AI might even be writing more secure baseline code, but human curiosity, the ability to look at a leaked demo version and see a map of the bank vault, that's what actually pays the bills in 2026.
Absolutely. The next time you visit a website, try to look past the shiny pixels on the screen. Think about the API calls firing off underneath. There is a whole invisible world down there.
And for anyone listening who wants to dive into that world themselves, those sources again were the CloudSec 2026 Platform Report, the Bug Hunters Methodology, and the Bug Bounty Templates Repository.
All excellent places to start your journey.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Stay curious and happy hunting.
Safe hunting!